Hi everybody, I'm coming on today with a little tutorial on tassel making. I've been making tassels recently and I've picked up a few little tricks and tips that I'd like to share with everybody. These tassels that I'm showing now are made out of yarn, ordinary yarn that you get in a wool shop, or that you might pick up even in a haberdashery. I don't use embroidery floss because embroidery floss can work out expensive, especially if you use the metallic type. But if you go into your average wool shop, they'll have a bargain bin full of single balls of yarn, very unusual stuff sometimes, and either single balls or balls that the ball band, this thing here, came off and they don't know what it is and they can't really sell it. Or sometimes if the yarn has a cardboard core like this, it falls, it just collapses off the ball and they just put the yarn in a bag and sell it. And they're much cheaper than normal and they're great for making very unusual tassels. This tassel here now, this nice metallic one, this was made from this yarn, Twirlies, I don't know how you pronounce it, gold fingering, which has been on the go for about 30 or 40 years, and it's brilliant, and you will get dozens of tassels out of a little ball like this. So, and this one here, this is another metallic yarn, it has a bit of a glitter in it. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Wait, I have the one here. It's Louisa Harding's Glisten or something. Anyway, you can even get yarn that has sequins in it, and while you wouldn't buy the whole 10 balls of it and make yourself a cardigan or a jumper or a t-shirt or something, it's brilliant for little crafty projects or even tying parcels. So another thing I found out when I started making tassels first, I used to wind my yarn around something like a bit of heavy duty plastic or acrylic, like this part of a template, or a very heavy duty piece of cardboard, and I found that this happened. No matter how heavy the material was, this happened once I started to wrap the yarn around. So I went on a hunt to find a kind of a tassel maker, a cheap and easy tassel maker that anybody could make and use. So I was in the pound shop or the euro shop or whatever you call it. Any bargain shop will have these. They're combs. They're combs, plastic combs with very wide prongs. They're for applying, as it says here, applying conditioner through wet hair. And I got a packet of 2 of them for €1.50. That's euros now, folks. So they'd probably be £1 in the UK or $1 or wherever. They're really cheap and they're easy to get. So I've only used one of them so far, because what I did was I removed the top. I moved this bit here, the top one, because with the slope here it's not really suitable for winding stuff around. So I used a kind of a knife with a serrated edge and I hacked it off, put it down on a folded tea towel, went at it like a bull at a gate and hacked it off, and then I removed these 2 as well. So this proved to be a brilliant little gadget for tassel making. Now, I'm sure you can buy tassel makers out there. I know there's a firm called Clover that do an awful lot of tassel makers and pom-pom makers and stuff like that. But I mean, why bother when you can make your own for next to nothing? I mean, you could make one and give the other one to your friend, or use it for what it's supposed to be for. So I'm going to try and make a purple tassel. So just a minute. I'm going to use this yarn. It's 4-ply cotton. The house is full of it. If you do any crochet at all, or if you know somebody who knits or crochets, they'll have bags full of little balls, ends of balls of yarn, and they'd be only too glad to get rid of them. So stalk your friends or pay a visit to the yarn shop. So what I do first of all is I cut off about 2 or 3 feet of thread and I thread up a needle, no problem. And this now will make, this one here, this will make a 2-inch tassel, which is suitable for card making. It wouldn't be suitable for a massive big project, but you can actually wrap the yarn around this way as well and make a much bigger tassel. I'll show you one of those later. As you can probably hear in my voice, I'm really excited about tassel making. Sad, but true. So all you have to do is get the end of your yarn. Now what you can do at this stage, especially if it's metallic yarn that's inclined to slip and slide all over the place, is get a bit of masking tape and just sellotape, you know, the edge of your yarn down like that. That'll keep it from wandering, and commence the wrapping. Now when I wrap, I try and keep them straight as best I can. So basically, just keep wrapping it round until you're fed up, or you have enough what looks like a fairly thick tassel, or whatever size you want it to be. Now if you're putting it on a card, a small tassel is enough, especially if you're going to be sending the card through the post, because you don't want a really bulky big lump of a tassel there that'll cost you extra to post. So I wrap them round and round until it looks fairly okay. And another thing you might consider doing, if you're making a lot of tassels, you want to put several tassels on a project and you want them all to look identical, just keep track of how many wraps you're doing, whether you're doing 30 or 40 or 50 wraps around. Now, I think this one is big enough for demonstration purposes. I'll give it a few more wraps. And just there again, I'll put the end under my bit of masking tape just to keep it out of the way. So I go for my needle, and first of all, to secure the top end here, if you look down into the comb, you can see that it's like a little tunnel through it. So I slip the top of the needle, the blunt end of the needle, through the tunnel. Actually, I'll cut it from the ball then. Now I get rid of the end of the ball wool. I'll do that again. I just get the end, the blunt end of the needle, the eye of the needle, and I put it through the tunnel part, the part you can see through. And I do this 2 or 3 times. I do this 2 or 3 times. Now don't catch the yarn, just slip the eye of the needle through and try and avoid it getting caught up in the prongs. Sorry, I keep moving off camera. And then I slip the needle under the loop here and just bring it back up and tie it, pull and tie it tightly and tie a knot in it. As you can see, it can get caught up in the handle of the, sorry about this. You can slip it through again and tie another knot. And then tie a knot at the end. Basically just secure the threads at the top, whatever way suits you. And then I cut off the thread here. Right, I'll see if I can bring it up a bit closer. Tie a knot, and I just excuse the state of my nails. So you see what I've done here, I've just by putting the needle in here and pulling the thread up, I've secured the top bit. And the next thing is to make the head of the tassel, so I've decided it'll be down here. So it's more or less the same thing again, except you're going round the 2 lots of thread and going round the whole. All the strands of thread, not just half of them. See? And go around several times. And pull it tightly and make a knot, just as if you were tying a bundle of anything together. Oops, gone off camera again, sorry. Pull it quite tightly and several times. Anyway, I cut the ends up fairly tightly because what I do is put a drop of glue on the end of them. So at this stage, this is what it looks like. You have your tassel secured at the top and secured around all the threads. So we're at the exciting stage now. You can just ease it off gently, and you can see here you have a tunnel here that you can just cut through like that, and that's it. Now I like to finish off my tassels by putting a drop of glue on them and working it in, and the same at the top end. I put a drop of glue on the knot and kind of work it into the knot. Now you could decorate it at this stage. You could put a row of beads around here, add a little chain with a charm on it, whatever you feel like. And if you were using a very slippy yarn for making your tassel, you could even put tie it with wire, with thin wire instead of yarn. Just to take and show you. That's a very skinny piece of wire. Just wrap it around like this in case you have very thick thread that's inclined to slide all over the place. And if you still aren't happy and you're worried about your tassel falling asunder, what I do sometimes is just open it up like this, so it's like a little flower. Open it up so you can get right into the centre of it, here like that. And put a drop of glue, and that'll stop the various bits of thread from wandering round. You wouldn't notice that it's glued because the ends will still be lovely and fluffy. You can fluff them up and play around with them. They'll be lovely and fluffy. Nobody will know that there's a good big heavy blob of glue up here holding it together. And before we go, I'll just show you a bigger tassel here. I made this. This is about 4 inches long, at least 4 inches long. And I made this by winding the yarn around the full size of the comb and just tying it here, well, tying it on top and tying it here. And I think it's worked out fine, and it looks fairly usable. This would be lovely now in the spine of a mini album if you decorated the around here with maybe some beads and flowers, and maybe put extra little dangles of charms or something, or bits of chain on it. So I hope that's given you a few ideas. So thanks for watching. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.